Hey everybody, this is Bill Faeth coming to you live from the Limo University studios. It's a distinct pleasure for me today to be joined by Mr. Sean Arena, your president of Limo Anywhere. Sean, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Bill. Yourself?
I am awesome. Thank you so much. Apologize everybody that's tuning in that we're a few minutes late. Chris and I had some technical difficulties here in the Limo U studio. Sean, thank you for your patience. I think we've got them all ironed out and we should be good to go moving forward. So I want to dive right in, Sean, because I don't know a lot about you and your background. I did a little bit of research and it's very interesting to me on your background. And I think I would love for your users, your clients to know a little bit about you. So as I was just scouring through your LinkedIn profile, I took some notes here. I see prior to coming to Limo Anywhere, you were with Sabre since 1999. And I mean, you did everything. You've got like 7 different job titles, right? From product development, product marketing. You were an executive director. Then you were also into the marketing side with Alcon, which is, a division of Novartis, a large pharmaceutical company. You did marketing for them. You've got a bachelor's degree and an MBA from TCU. I don't really feel qualified to be talking with you today. So kind of tell us a little bit about Sean Arena prior to coming to Limo Anywhere, if you would.
Yeah, of course, sure. So as you mentioned, I had been with Sabre pretty much the vast majority of my career ever since graduating graduate school back in '99. I've had a litany of different experiences there, all very rewarding, spanned, as you said, strategy, product, business development, and sales. It's given me a pretty well-rounded view of things, all of which were rooted in travel technology. So being now the president here at Limo Anywhere, it's a pretty clean fit for me, given that travel technology has been in my DNA for almost 20 years. So that has been a very interesting transition in many positive ways. There's a lot of fresh perspectives, obviously, that I'm gleaning from the folks here. Hopefully some valuable lessons learned as well that I can translate into the company and have already translated, given that we're, now almost 23 months into the role. So yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I primarily worked with the travel agency community at Sabre. So there are a lot of parallels to the travel agency community, I think, in our customers in the operating space or the operator space. So, there's a very diverse set of different types. There's, pure retail, there's corporate, there's folks that deal with meetings and events. There's obviously large, there's small, there's brick and mortar. There's those that have a heavy online play and experience or presence. So kind of managing that diversity of different types of customer personas, all of which, in many cases in the travel agency space back then, much like now in this space, there was several disruptions with the airlines, the advent of online travel agencies and the internet back then posed challenges, cutting commissions. They were under significant pressure, and so we needed to provide them with the tools to better compete. And I would honestly tell you that the demise of the travel agency has been long over-expected or communicated or assumed. We've seen many flourish since the earlier days or old days of those disruptions. So I have no doubt that the operator space today will carry forward a very similar track if we all play our cards right and ensure that we're utilizing the tools to the best of our ability.
What are those tools that you see moving forward? I mean, heck, you were 20 years roughly, or 18 years you were with Sabre, and you saw all this manifestation that you just talked about. We're seeing a lot of disruption in our industry right now. You and I talked about yesterday,
Yep.
right? A lot of those similarities that you mentioned between travel agencies, small mom and pop, the small operators, which makes up a lot of your customer base,
Yep.
in that 1 to 5, 6, 10 car range. What do you see technology-wise that's happening that potentially could replicate what you lived through with Sabre?
Sure. So, interestingly, one of the big, in what we're doing here, one of the big trends that was heavily capitalized on with social media. So travel agencies did realize that to reach new customers and maintain engagement with their current customers, they had to become much more adept at engaging in new ways with their customers. And so many embrace social media. The ones that have been the most successful to date continue to. They don't shy away from it. Obviously, it comes with its own thorns, but they've been even to the point, I should say, where I found it very interesting. There was oftentimes we found agencies would do essentially experience exchanges where they would bring in somebody young that's a millennial back in that day or now that could help teach them the business of how to engage in social media. In exchange, they would teach that individual or intern the nature of the operator business, and it would be a very valuable bi-directional reward, because they'll learn some of the tools in the trade of just running a business, learn about the industry that they can carry forward to their next career, and in exchange, the actual operators themselves could take a few lessons learned from the noobs of the world that live and breathe this stuff every day. So that would be one example. Another, obviously, with online, you still have to have a strong presence to the degree that you want to be able to service corporate customers or have a retail play that can be bookable. SEO, SEM has not gone away. It's only gotten stronger, so you still need to play heavily there. In terms of familiarity and understanding of data, I would say that's an area that we have a bit of a ways to go within this industry. I think I was fairly critical back in my old roles of how I felt even in the airline and hotel and travel agency space, there was a lot more that could be done with respect to leveraging data. I think even more so in the operator space, there's a lot of opportunities, whether it be rates and taking benchmarks and looking at how we can leverage the data to help our customers understand how they stack up, whether it be understanding from a merchandising perspective what's selling and how it's selling and why it's selling, or what is high levels of converters to display for customers in terms of age of vehicle, experience of driver, ratings. I mean, there's a lot of things that we sit on top of collectively that we could be leveraging much more for the success of the entire ecosystem. So those would be two examples, I would say, that come front to mind or front of center for what we might or should be looking at in terms of carrying forward from my prior experience.
That's awesome. I just want to take a second and welcome everybody that's joining us on this live broadcast. Obviously, I'm joined by Sean Arena, president of Limo Anywhere today. If you have a question for Sean, just leave a comment down below. What I would recommend everybody to do, and I do this inside of my group, so Sean and I can know who you are and where you're from, just comment down below with the city that you're from. So that way we can see where you're at. I see Amir Zafar, I see Sam Rubin, I see Jamie McLaren. I see people that are starting to log in right now. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below, and we look forward to interacting with you. I want to move on to the next question. And Sean, you and I met shortly after you joined Limo Anywhere. And as you've only been here a couple of years, as you stated previously, what has been your primary focus over those 2 years? And how would you grade yourself on that?
Great question. I would say first and foremost, my primary focus was, and I guess should still be indefinitely, is stability and modernization. So joining the company, we've been in business for 14 plus years, or almost 15, I guess now. And we've scaled immensely. We've gone from a few hundred operators to almost 5,000. And the technical infrastructure and architecture needed to really continue to sustain that trajectory required a bit of an overhaul. And so there was a bit of tech debt we really had to spend time on improving and investing in. We hired a senior architect to really help us overhaul a lot of the different components. And also what we've seen, I should say, to date is a significant improvement. Hopefully customers have seen it too. We've seen over a 50% reduction in PEs or problems encountered, 99.99% uptime, which rivals Sabre for that matter in terms of just general processing and stability. So that was mission critical, and no matter what you release, if you can't depend on what's out there that we put out there, it kind of renders itself a bit of a moot point. So that was my first focus. Second was to ensure that we have greater product velocity. So we actually revamped and overhauled the product team. We brought Brandon and Jared in, whom I know most of you know, incredible guys, very sharp. They had a bit of a learning curve getting into the product management arena, pardon the pun, given product management is a big area of expertise for me. But they've done an incredible job. We've actually improved our throughput threefold since joining the company. So I think that has been important too. However, back to your grades, I would say one area we still really have a significant opportunity to further improve now that we do have a more modern, stable environment and we have better product throughput, is making sure that we have the right processes in place to communicate what we're launching, when we're launching it, provide opportunities for feedback on what we're launching, when we're launching it, so that we make sure that we get it right. And should there be delays and when we are planning to launch something, that we're proactively communicating that as well. I think that level of transparency is critical to ensuring that we keep everybody on the same page. We've invested in products like Validately and Product Board, whom I think few of you already know about, for submitting feedback. We actually had over 400, I think, submissions of ideas or requests coming through Product Board within the first week we launched it. We're using Validately for testing now to get real-time feedback on different workflows that we're building. So that's really an area I think that, in my mind, is a critical next step into really becoming where the world-class product delivery team that we aim to be. And I think we're getting there. We're really, really close. It's just a matter of ensuring that we over-communicate and we provide the right forums for feedback.
I think that is awesome stuff. I think some things I didn't know about Limo Anywhere prior to your arrival, and I was pretty good friends with Mark Gentry when he was there, and I was a customer. I think I started in maybe this time around August or so of 2006 with Max. Limo Anywhere originally was not really built, the internal architecture, the structure, to house 5,000 SaaS customers, correct?
That's a safe assumption, yeah, or statement.
So, I mean, I know that you guys, a lot of the things you're talking about, and I hear you use terms like stable environment. For your three-car operator that doesn't know much about technology and development, I don't either, what I hear you saying is that you have really gone in and stabilized the system over the last 24 months that was needed before you can really start to ramp up, with a lot of upgrades and new stuff, and probably even fix some of the things that you've had troubles with. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. I mean, and they're all interconnected too, right? So the stable environment that we've re-architected inherently came with new technologies. For instance, the new reporting and analytics module we just built is arguably on a more advanced technology than a lot of the larger travel brands that are even out there today. We're using React, JSON, GraphQL, Express, which enables us to actually build even faster and iterate faster. So not only does it inherently provide the stability and the reliability that we need, but it also accelerates our ability to innovate.
Hey, come on, man. You just stole my thunder there. My next question was, I see you just released, a new reporting feature. I literally got the email like an hour ago. Tell me what the new reporting features are going to mean. What can I do if I'm your average customer with these new features?
Sure. So we heard from, and this really came from a very vast spectrum of customers in terms of a need. So as you well know, and as I said before, it ties all together, we had a very significant amount of feedback that we needed a more flexible reporting tool. So a lot of the reports that we had historically provided our customers were static links that ran a pre-generated report with predefined formats that really were not manipulative or manipulatable in terms of data. And they want, as I mentioned at the beginning, with data being so important, customers need to be able to slice and dice data in various different ways, easily export it, easily send it. So we built an entirely new reporting tool that actually takes that information from an offline system that helps us actually further modernize and stabilize our environment. So a little dirty laundry, but part of what, back to your point, was engineered initially with the Limo Anywhere business and reporting was when reports were run, it was pulling from the same CPU as the broader tech stack that everybody would be using for creating reservations, pulling rates, pulling up a profile. So as you can imagine, if people are running a lot of massive reports, that could actually put strain on the system. So we actually had to create a whole new environment with new capabilities that customers can use. So to your question on the functionality of the reporting, we have a lot of custom reporting capabilities. So almost every conceivable field that is in Limo Anywhere now is extractable in whatever form you want or report you want to build, including new types of reports. So we've just launched a mileage report. We just launched a profit report. We're going to be launching additional reports like year-over-year comparisons. We're going to be launching the ability to create and save a report and have it auto-send to various constituents. So if you have a corporate client, for instance, that's expecting a weekly or monthly report in this format with this data, it can support it. So lots of different benefits and implications to having this now in place.
So I got a question, a personal question for me off of that. I love what you just said about like a client that needs reporting weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever that would be. Is there, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but is there any way to be able to take that reporting feature and implement with Zapier to zap that into MailChimp or Gmail or something to have that completely automated that you're aware of at this point?
It certainly can be done. I think that's another opportunity we should consider in terms of a short, quick workaround if that's something that's of immediate need, given that we already do integrate with Zapier in many other ways. So I can't answer specifically whether or not we have the right external API that can be consumable or integration with Zapier that can be immediately implemented, but it's a good question for us to take back to the team and see if that's possible. We're running fast and furious ahead with just the ability to actually run those reports for customers based on our own internal capabilities. So that's obviously front and center for us.
Awesome. Well, I mean, kind of leading on that, fast and furious and the new reporting stuff come out. It seems like, LA is making upgrades and I'm on your email list. So it seems like at least once a month, I'm seeing 4 or 5 new upgrades. Can you give your audience kind of just a little sneak peek, a little hint of what's coming down the pipeline?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got a lot already on our plate, and I'll kind of carve this up into 2 buckets. One is what we're working on in the next 90 days. The other being kind of what we're working on prior to end of year. And again, back to my request and I should say not request, but demand of our team to be more transparent and proactive in communicating. The double-edged sword to that is obviously you have to course correct at times, and when we need to, we will communicate if there's any shift in priority or any given delay. But I think it is important to be transparent about what's on our plate. So we will be publishing our roadmap for everybody to see, and that's again part of why we wanted to invest in product boards so everybody can view it themselves. But we are working right now on invoicing. I think many of you that are on may have already been part of the prior webinar we did where we actually showed what's going to be available. So it'll allow for batch processing of invoices and better credit management, again, to help people save money and handle things in mass without individually managing every single invoice or having to spoof credits, if you will. We will be adding additional reports, as I just mentioned, via the new tool, as well as the ability to save and send automatically. They can already save and send today. We'll be launching new partner integration. So we are working right now with SummitQuest and Groundspan to integrate to our new API that will enable for things that the legacy API with Groundspan didn't exist, or isn't there. And we have new integration today really with SummitQuest in the trip import capability or sphere. So it will allow for status updates, GPS location, other things that the new partner API we have supports. So we've heard from many of our top corporate focused operators that this is a need for them to make sure that they can work more seamlessly with their corporate clients. And therefore, those two will also be launched here shortly. We're also going to be launching an automated payroll processing feature. So back to my earlier point on invoicing, somewhat of the same metaphor. Right now, processing driver payroll is a very tedious task. We understand, especially as you get with larger operators and they have dozens of drivers, that can be, a multi-hour process. And so with this new utility, you can actually streamline that down to less than 30 minutes, if that. So we think, again, saving time, saving money, that's a big improvement for our customers. We'll be continuing to fix some ORES bugs that have been reported, but we have already overhauled ORES quite significantly since 3.0. So 4.0 has come with a lot of new features and functions, filling in a couple of gaps here and there and plugging some holes. DA-Net integration is another big one. So many customers of ours use DA-Net as well as a vetted farm out source where needed. We are actually going to allow for DA-Net to be implemented with ORES so they can instantaneously have a global presence through their booking tool, should they want, as well as integrate DA-Net with instant rate lookup so that they actually internally can pull those same rates when they're cross-comparing with other sources or means for their rate information. And then lastly, in the next 90 days, in terms of focus and development, Square. We have been working on Square now for over a month now. It is a massive project. There's a lot of prerequisites and dependencies to get it to where it is, but the team knows that this is something we've committed to the market for a long time and therefore need to focus on it. Outside of that 90-day window, but before end of year, we do have a pretty impactful and amazing innovation we'll be rolling out in several iterations, but we will be announcing it at Limo Anywhere Academy that really ties to the realm of how do you change the game in terms of affiliate management, which we know is a big need in the market in terms of a lot of our operators have heavy affiliate relationships, depend heavily on affiliate work, or depend on others to handle their work. So while we recognize there's certainly a need for the ability to farm out to other systems, and that is readily on our radar as part of such a solution that we're talking about, there's a myriad of other things that we can do to really build a better mousetrap. And so that's something we'll be rolling out and talking about in the coming 3 to 6 months. Addressing other top customer needs is also a focus for us throughout the year, towards year end. So as I mentioned before, we're taking to heart all the feedback coming in through product board, which is why we invested in product board. And so things like improving time zones, things like batch editing rates and zones, things like QuickBooks Integrations module with add-ons.la, better reservation logs for trackability of what's changed within a reservation, automated alerts for credit card expiration or driver's license. Little things that I would call singles in the baseball world are equally critical, if not more, to our customers. And again, as a product team, we're focused on making sure we have the right balance between hitting home runs and knocking out some of these key singles and doubles along the way as well.
So Sean, Brent Abrizi asked a couple of questions inside of the comment section, and I want to kind of combine them. With the integration with DA-Net and ORES, will their client base be able to see their out-of-town affiliate rates with that integration?
Will their client base out of town? So will their clients that are out of town be able to see the DA-Net rates that they've presented through ORES?
The Limo Anywhere customers rates. So like this is Brent Abrizi. If he, due to the DA integration with ORES, I guess right now they're not able to display their out-of-town affiliate rates, only their local market rates.
Yeah.
Will that create the ability for them to do that?
If I understand correctly, it's kind of a crawl, walk, run metaphor, right? So step one is give you if you are a DA-Net customer, instant global presence through a pre-vetted network of rates available through DA-Net. Step two would be allowing you to expose all of your affiliate rates as well through ORES, given that each one of those networks or sub-networks are unique to a particular operator's business and come with a lot of additional settings and changes that we'll have to enhance. But that is, if that's what I'm understanding to be the request, definitely a next phase to the project.
Awesome. So you mentioned something, and I want to dive into this. And you mentioned Limo Anywhere Academy, which is coming up in September, and you said you're going to make some announcements there. Can you tell the people here that may be on the fence of deciding if they want to come or are not planning on coming, kind of tell us about Limo Anywhere Academy and why they need to be there?
Yeah, sure. So let me take a step back. So, and maybe some of you saw my post on Facebook with the glamorous arms unfolded in front of Sundance Square as a jest. But I did mention in that long email or sorry, Facebook message post that, it's very apparent to us, and we've actually done research on this to back it up, that a very large percentage of our customers use a much smaller percentage of our software than we would ideally like to see. And I think that they should exploit, given that every feature and function that we've designed is intended to either save money or time or drive new revenue. And so if we're talking about 30 to 40% of 100%, that's a fairly small amount of functionality that some of our customers are using on a day-to-day basis. And so, I mean, to put an analogy on it, I mean, would you buy a new Sprinter, and only use 30 to 40% of the functionality or the features that became available as part of the package that you acquired for your client base? Probably not. So why should software in this case be any different? We want our customers to truly elevate their game and adopt and embrace the entire platform. So I can't personally tell you how many times at events I've been at in the industry for the last 2 years, where virtually every time I'm at an event, somebody will come up to me and say, I was at the booth, I just learned of this great tipper trick. That alone justified my entire visit to Chauffeur Driven or LCT or whatnot. And that was a 5-minute exchange at our booth. I mean, imagine what a day and a half of immersive training on every feature and function that we have available through Limo Anywhere could do for our client's business. Kind of piggybacking on that, I would say, we polled our customers and have heard repeatedly that more training, deeper training, dedicated training is an area that we need to improve. So while, we will continue to provide multiple channels and sources for ad hoc consumption of training material, and that's never going to stop. We'll always do that. We really believe that best practice and widely adopted in virtually any industry that I've come across or been part of in software is a user conference for ensuring that people can really take a day or two out of their time to explore and understand all of the intricacies and ways in which not only can they use a module better, but how you can optimize the use of all of the modules to work more collaboratively together. So, I'll give you an example and then pass it back to you. It's just kind of a string of consciousness, but we talk repeatedly with customers about the importance and need for distance-based rates or criteria-based rates in certain cases, because it helps maximize your coverage and your revenue, because you want to always have a rate displayed. You don't want to always lean on a quote necessarily, particularly in the online space where people can bail in 2 seconds. That's one element of value, just learning how to best optimize and construct those types of rates in various types of scenarios or hybrid rates. But you can also, obviously, or need to also ensure that ties to the right service types, vehicle types, that can help improve your merchandising, particularly online. Providing accurately displayed merchandising in ORES and in your instant rate lookup can improve your conversion rates, right? Automatically pre-populating and reservation screens can help you save you time. So we really spent a lot of time with this new instant rate module, and very few knew or know that not only is it somewhat of an AI component that detects what you're typing to know what rates to populate. For instance, an airport shows an airport rate, or a corporate client ID shows a corporate client rate. You can take all that information and seamlessly port it into a reservation now and save significant time for your reservation agents. Further, you can use the DA statuses to trigger scheduled messages, which again can save you time, and that very end-to-end workflow I'm talking about. And then lastly, leveraging reporting and analytics to understand the channel performance. So understanding how your online channel is doing versus your offline channel and what needs to be tweaked so that you can optimize is critically important. So each module in of itself is important in exploiting to the best of your ability, every capability within that module, but also calibrating all the modules together to ensure that they're working in the way that best suits your business to really maximize your profits. I mean, that's where I think the rubber hits the road, and where a lot of our customers could use some help based on my experience and my observations.
So, wow, I think that's a lot of value, Sean. And I think that hopefully that answers Ashley's question. She says, how beneficial will LA Academy be for employees, or is it geared more towards owner operators? Ashley, I'm going to take that one for you, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be there. Sean and I, along with Kristen Carroll, I'll make the announcement now, Sean, if that's cool. Kristen Carroll from LMC and myself are actually going to MC the event. I'm doing a session. I think Kristen's doing a session. You're going to have large operators there that are going to be on a panel. You're going to have Sean's team. So if you look at the granularity of being in person, and I'm a huge live event trainer when I do my boot camps, my master classes, I think that's where we get the most value because it's interactive. If it was 12 years ago and I was still a Limo Anywhere customer, I would probably have my lead reservationist going with me to this event, and possibly even a dispatcher, because I assigned my lead reservationist was actually the person that was managing all of the back-end setup with my rate functionalities, with how I wanted everything to happen, from ORES to dispatching to setting up grids, all of those components. So I think there's a lot more value here than just being the largest operator on Limo Anywhere or being the smallest. It's how you're going to utilize the software packages itself. And now we add on add-ons as well. So you're going to have Limo Anywhere and add-ons plus the operators, the education. I don't see, if you're a Limo Anywhere customer, how you can afford to miss this event. What say you, Sean?
I totally agree. And then back to your first question about parallels to my prior experience at Sabre, there was a very similar conference we ran back then, and still do today, that was again geared towards being this training immersion. And it grew literally from 300 to 3,000 attendees in probably less than 10 years, I would say. And so our hope is that our customers will see the impact this event will have for them as well. And as I said, there's a lot of parallels to ensuring that technology is embraced and the use of what's available and tools are maximized for our customers to maintain their competitive edge and help negate some of the threats and disruptions that come from the current industry environment, much like back in the day where travel agencies at times had some of those similar challenges. So could not agree more with you. I would actually plug the promotion as well, Bill, to your point around those that want to come or bring more than one person perhaps from their office, because we know many owner managers happen to also be day-to-day users. If there are individuals that would like to bring more than one employee, we actually have a discount of $100 on any subsequent individual from any company that wishes to attend, so that there's somewhat of a group rate dynamic that ensures that they can save in their expenditure to make the trip. But we are really excited about it. As you said, we've spent a ton of time and money on putting this together to really make it the best class user conference that the industry has ever seen. And it's really arguably one of the first in the industry in the scale that we're talking about. So hopefully we'll see everybody there, and I look forward to watching firsthand a lot of eyes light up as we go through all the various ways in which Limo Anywhere can really change the game for some of our customers in the areas they may not even been aware of how to best utilize.
Awesome stuff. So Dollywall, I'm losing comments as they scroll through. They're coming in fast and furious. Dollywall, you asked a question about the custom form tool. I would highly recommend that you look at the Limo Anywhere ORES integration with add-ons, new custom tool, because you can have all the control over changing form fields, customizing that form, putting it anywhere you want on your website, on a client's website, whatever that is. If you have questions, please bring them back in because it's really difficult. I can only see about 5 or 6 at one time. There was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, that asked about QuickBooks integration. And you talked about the integration a few minutes ago, Sean, with add-ons. Is that for desktop version of QuickBooks, or is it for online version, or both?
Good question. The scope that we've defined with them, and I'm not going to put them on the spot to speak to whether they'll be simultaneously released, will be though for both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Enterprise, which would require some kind of a module to sit on a client. They understand that that's the need because we do have a lot of customers that are on Enterprise still as well. So whether or not they're sequential or simultaneous is TBD, but we collectively know that both need to be delivered. And I should mention, back to reporting and analytics. Now that, as I had discussed, the tool itself can allow you to effectively build any conceivable report you want. As we layer in new data, which we will be with the new payment API for revenue, you can literally build the exact format of what you would need to import into QuickBooks through the new RNA tool in the coming months once we finalize the additional reports for payment to also be included.
Awesome stuff. Kristen, thank you for the kind words. Sean, thank you for joining me. I want to get into a question, Sean, because I think this is really, really important. I've got a couple more questions for you. What if I'm a 5-car operator and I come attend Limo Anywhere Academy, what am I going to walk away with? What's your goal for me to be able to go back to my office and actually be able to tangibly implement when I leave Fort Worth? And by the way, I've learned there's a difference between Fort Worth and Dallas. I didn't really know that. And I'm excited about Fort Worth. I know they have some good barbecue there.
Yeah. No, thank you. That is a bit of a pet peeve for us locals here, to conflate the two. But it really goes back to my prior point that as we've talked about, especially with the smaller operators that are inundated day to day with wearing multiple hats, or even drivers in many cases themselves at times. There's just not enough time in the day to ensure that you were staying afloat. And as I mentioned, there's so many tools and utilities within Limo Anywhere that are specifically designed to automate processes for you, to streamline your workflow, to improve how quickly you can convert sales, to make sure that certain things for your customers can be done in a way that's self-supporting, so you're not spending all of your time on the phone or doing emails back and forth. So there is a myriad of combinations of how you can deploy and leverage the technology we've built that will be included within this training to allow you to walk away and, as I mentioned, come back with the comfort that now I'm using these tools and features, not only individually within the modules themselves, but the modules in tandem working seamlessly and harmoniously. I'm saving an additional hour or 2 or 3 a day. I'm earning an additional $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a week or a month. That is ultimately our goal.
So I think I really love to hear that, because that kind of aligns with my goal. I am going to be doing a session at Limo Anywhere Academy, and I've got 2 points that I'm going to cover. Number one is exactly what Sean just said, and that's how do we use the tools inside of Limo Anywhere and or combined with add-ons to create scale and make you guys more money. The second one is going to be, if you're a 1, 2, 3, or even a 5-car operator and you're still driving and you don't know what to do, I'm going to give you a path and a checklist to implement when you get back, to take that first step to leverage the technology that you have at your fingertips to get out from behind the wheel. Because if you stay behind the wheel, you're going to stay small. You have to take that first step, and then the second step, and most of you don't know where to start. I'm going to deliver that with you and show you how Limo Anywhere is going to help you get there. Because I had a conversation earlier as I was doing a No Operator Left Behind podcast interview with an operator. And Sean, I'll never forget when I started, I'm doing everything in a day runner. And it took me about 5.5 months, and I was about somewhere between $400,000 to $600,000 a year in projected annual revenue at that time to move over to Limo Anywhere. And I never drove, but the amount of time that I had to do to invest managing my business out of a day runner, which I classify today the people that are doing it in Calendar, Google Sheets, Google Docs, and then the ones that migrate over to Limo Anywhere but don't really understand the system and how robust it is. That's really why you need to be in Fort Worth. And I know it's hard to get away from your business for 2 or 3 days. And I know for some of you, it's a large investment, but you have to look at this as an investment into your future as opposed to a short-term cost. Sean, sorry to steal your thunder there for a second.
No, that's okay.
Really passionate about that. I want to ask you, let's see, is there any way to be able to... I want to ask you one last departing question. I'm going to give you the platform after this. Tell me where you see the technology in our industry from an operating software standpoint. You can include operating software, dispatch software, you know, add-ons, GNet, whatever it is, Sabre, you know, GDS. Where do you see us migrating over the next 5 to 10 years? If I ask you the same question in 10 years, how has it changed for us from a technology standpoint?
Great question. And I could probably spend an hour on this topic. So
I'm going to give you 60 seconds and then you get to close it out.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, in essence, like I was saying earlier, data is key. And I think we need to build better tools that harness data in new ways to better automate processes. So yes, auto dispatch and things like that are going to be important and will continue to be important to free up time, as will be dynamic pricing and being able to use certain market triggers to help you actually determine what the appropriate rate is at the appropriate time based on the customer, the channel, local events going on at the time, weather, traffic. I mean, there's a lot of hotels are already doing this today in terms of their revenue management and taking all these different inputs to help influence what their price is. So I see that as another foray. Merchandising, as I mentioned before, merchandising is a big trend right now within the airline space, where I think there's some lessons to be learned, albeit airlines are somewhat strategic about what they display. No one's ever seen what the age of an aircraft is when they're shopping, and I think that's by design. But that doesn't mean that you can't still better highlight amenities and monetize amenities and extras and upsells and cross sells in a more intuitive way with power behind it that's generated through AI and data. So I think that's going to be a key frontier that we will be seeing soon. I also would argue the network effect. So Limo Anywhere having nearly 5,000 customers is in a unique position to really provide tools that will allow our customers to grow their business exponentially, through which they can further expand in prospecting and vetting, declaring what businesses and business types that they're in for better searchability, affiliate rate matrices for them to allow others to look up their rates and vice versa more efficiently, instant settlement of various affiliate transactions, the ability to actually, and this is somewhat of a controversial topic, but how reviews would be managed amongst and between affiliates, reporting on the efficiency and productivity and profitability of affiliates. You know, if you have a customer base of 200, a network effect really doesn't add that much value. But if you have a customer base of nearly 5,000, overlaying all of those different capabilities I just mentioned really becomes an amplifier and can significantly change the game.
That is awesome. I look forward to seeing the future. I'm going to put you on the spot one last time before we take off. I've enjoyed this. Thank you for spending 45 minutes with me and allowing me to, you know, grab some questions from your users. Will you do this again with me in August?
I would absolutely love to.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
Will you do it with me in September?
In September, I'll be in. I'm only if you take me to Hard 8 Barbecue, I'm coming.
Awesome.
We'll do it live in September in Fort Worth at the Limo Anywhere Academy. You can register, find out more information at limoanywhereacademy.com. Sean, thank you for joining me. I'm going to pin Sean down in the next week. We'll give you a little bit more notice for August. Once I get back from vacation, probably the first, second week of August, we'll do this again. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to submit your questions in advance. Everybody from the Limo Anywhere world and community, thank you for joining us today. Sean Arena, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.